Good morning, my name is Josh from CyclonesOZ, and here's your detailed weather forecast update for Tuesday, July 29th, 2025. Still heaps to talk about around the Australian world of weather. We have low pressure systems galore expected over the next couple of weeks. Whilst we're not expecting significant severe weather impacts across the southern parts of the nation, snow is expected as far north as southeast Queensland, and a strong low pressure system offshore from Queensland and New South Wales could funnel ashore some healthy rainfall accumulations. All the details on that plus more coming up in today's weather forecast update. If you are brand new to the channel, please do consider subscribing. But let's get stuck straight into things this morning with a brief look at the current picture of what's happening around the nation. It is cold over in the west and the southwest, with Perth a minimum right now of about 3 degrees through parts of the metro area. Rainfall still piling in through the south coast. In fact, we've had some pretty solid reports of snow on the Stirling Ranges overnight. And just looking at the showers that are moving through here just towards the immediate east of Albany, which are making it up into the Stirling Ranges, especially around Bluff Knoll and the surrounding peaks. There's likely a whole lot more snow falling there right now. So if you're in the area and you are planning on getting up Bluff Knoll, do it in the next couple of hours, because there is going to be some snow settling up there, and the photos that are going to come out of there are going to be pretty amazing, that's for sure. Really looking forward to what's going to come out over the next hour or so. We've got that low pressure system situated pretty much due south of the South Australia-West Australia border here in the Great Australian Bight. That's keeping things cool, and a few showers are being funneled ashore into the South Australian coastline between Ceduna down to Streaky Bay. Rainfall is expected to pipe up across the Eyre Peninsula as well throughout the remainder of this morning, and showers are also moving through into the Flinders Ranges outside of Lake Torrens and Murray into the northern parts of South Australia. There's a few speckled showers and rain bands moving through the interior parts of New South Wales this morning. For Melbourne and Sydney, we're looking dry today. A few showers are expected to make it in towards the southeast of Queensland later tonight, but it's a bit of a wild card right now if they'll make it into the Brisbane area or not. But all powered by a very broad low pressure system, powering a concentrated low pressure system down here, and that's bringing that cloud in through interior parts of Australia. And all in all, it's a rather unpleasant day across the agricultural regions of New South Wales, parts of Queensland, much of South Australia, and also into the northern half of Victoria. The weather is just cloudy with a few drizzly showers around here and there. Not very pleasant stuff indeed, not what we'd be expecting for this region of Australia at this time of the year. But let's jump into the forecast and see what we're expecting over the next couple of days. There's a lot of moving parts to this forecast here, so pay close attention, especially if you do live on the New South Wales East Coast or even the Queensland East Coast, where we are expecting some rainfall, some showers, and even some snowfall accumulations as far north up into southeast Queensland, potentially this weekend. This low pressure system here, powering the rainfall that's currently occurring across the interior parts of Australia, is expected to move into New South Wales, pretty much along the Queensland-New South Wales border, making it into the central half of the state later tonight into early tomorrow morning. The showers will die off a little bit through early tomorrow morning. We're expecting them to contract to the New South Wales coastline through Wednesday, and that's going to meet up with some moisture coming in on the southeastern side of the Tasman Sea, which will be funneled up in towards New South Wales. We're expecting a couple of days of showers to ensue for New South Wales from Wednesday afternoon and evening. Showers will continue for the New South Wales East Coast through Wednesday night into Thursday morning. We're expecting Thursday to be quite a wet, or to start off as quite a wet one across the areas north of Newcastle, up around Foster and Gosford, and then as far north as about Kempsey and Coffs Harbour. We'll be seeing that rainfall move through into Thursday afternoon. Showers are going to persist across the New South Wales coastline. They'll also fire up Thursday night into early Friday morning across the interior parts of New South Wales into the northwest of the state. Showers will then temporarily ease off through early Friday morning before they slowly pick up again as a low pressure system begins to kick itself off offshore from New South Wales and Queensland. This system here is going to play a lot on the forecast this weekend. We're expecting heavy rainfall from this. We could even be seeing some damaging winds and large waves offshore from New South Wales and Queensland. All in all, we could be seeing quite a strong low pressure system out of this. Not an East Coast low type system, but certainly something that plays a pretty big role in shaping the weather scene across the eastern states this weekend. But conversely to that, we're also expecting cold winds to whip up onto the western side of the system, and that could bring snow to the northeast of New South Wales or even the southeast of Queensland. I'm going to start off with the cold weather forecast, because the subtropical weather forecast, there's just a whole lot more moving parts to it. So with this low pressure system that's going to be situated offshore from New South Wales, on the southern and the western side, we're going to get that cool air swept up from the south and the southwest. Now that's going to bring cool temperatures across much of New South Wales, and especially with that onshore flow that we're expecting, Friday is going to be cold. Temperatures below 10 degrees across much of New South Wales, including coastal locations, and they'll drop very close to zero, if not below zero, to some of the higher elevations. I would like to show you a map, and this is called freezing elevation. This is where the temperature drops below zero at a certain altitude. So the freezing elevation, if I can find it here, or freezing altitude as it's called here, plays a big role in where the snowfall is expected to be. So how high up the freezing altitude is, you generally subtract about 30% off that, and that's where you can see the potential for snowfall accumulation. So through Friday night into early Saturday morning, we see that freezing altitude dropped substantially down to about 1,500 meters in parts of New South Wales and Queensland. Queensland where the elevation is 1,000, 1,100 or even 1,200 meters. Now that means if you do the math that I just said here, subtracting 30 or 40%, that's what I found to be a good number in my experience here, because that's what gets you to around 2 or 3 degree air temperature, which is where snowfall can occur. Then you start to see that the New South Wales high peaks into the northeast of the state and even across southeast Queensland are now at the chance of seeing some snowfall accumulations on Friday night into Saturday morning, and then again Saturday night into early Sunday morning, where that freezing altitude will drop substantially again, right down to 1,300 meters here outside of Armidale and Glen Innes, where some of the tallest peaks are 1,300 or 1,400 meters. So the air temperature is most certainly going to be cold enough for snowfall to be a potential here. In terms of how much snowfall we're expecting, as you normally expect for this time of the year, just a light dusting as possible. We won't be seeing anything too crazy, no more than a few centimeters across the northeast of New South Wales, and it really will be a dusting if it crosses the border into Stanthorpe or outside Wollongara into the southeast corner of Queensland. We're not expecting anything in the Gold Coast hinterland, obviously, and no snowfall is expected outside of, say, Toowoomba or Wollongong for an example of locations, but Stanthorpe is a chance of seeing some snow, and then of course around Glen Innes down towards Armidale and even outside of the Barrington Tops as well, outside of Gloucester and Merindy and Tamworth, we could be seeing some snowfall accumulations there, just a few centimeters, but the chance is most certainly there at this point in time. This is what the forecast models are suggesting right now. The Eastern Rev this weekend, snowfall-wise, is calling for some very healthy accumulations outside of the Barrington Tops here, outside of Tamworth. We'd be looking at snowfall accumulations potentially as much as 20 centimetres. This will, of course, only happen in the highest elevations and also in the most protected places here. The winds will be strong enough that that snow is not expected to stick around for long, so we're not expecting a snow depth of 20 centimetres, for example, but we could be seeing up to 10 to 20 centimetres of snow. And then, as mentioned, just a few light dustings here and there, potentially a centimetre or two outside of Warwick and Stanthorpe. This little blotchy stuff here outside into the more agricultural parts of Queensland on the lower elevations, that's just typical Eastern Rev forecast modelling hogwash. Normally the Eastern Rev can call for some snowfall into the lower elevations. It's just how the forecast model works. It never ever comes into fruition, but we've seen a lot this year so far over in Western Australia. But yeah, northeast New South Wales, southeast Queensland, it's going to get cold. There will be the chance of snow. It will be cold for Brisbane and Sydney as well, with those winds coming in, especially for Sydney coming in from the east. It's going to feel very cold there this weekend, so rug up. Brisbane likely to be a little bit more milder, but for the Brisbane forecast, southeast Queensland and the northeast New South Wales forecast of rainfall, let's move into the second part of this low pressure system here, where I talk about the rainfall aspect of this storm. Now, as you might have seen on the forecast modelling here, you can see a pretty big low pressure system expected to develop through Friday and into Saturday. So we've really hammered home the forecast for Friday and Saturday. We're expecting that weak low pressure system to develop offshore from the northeast coast of New South Wales and then kind of hover for about 12 to 24 hours. It then looks like it's going to meet up with some moisture coming in from the central parts of Queensland that will then slide out into the Coral Sea and be dragged down into this system here. And by the looks of things, Saturday and Sunday, the European forecast here is calling for a really broad low pressure system to begin to develop through Saturday and Sunday. Heaps of rainfall, heaps of showers, and then a stronger low pressure system materializing out of that on Sunday and into Monday. It is all remaining one low pressure system, but you can see it kind of morphs from that weaker, broader system into that weaker but much more broader system, and then it morphs into its final stage by the looks of things, which is going to be that strong and much more compact low pressure system. But this one looks like it's going to hover offshore from the New South Wales coastline through Sunday and Monday before drawing away entirely on Monday and Tuesday. As you can tell, the forecast is still very much up in arms. There's a few major discrepancies between forecast modelling at this point in time, but the best bet that I can say right now is we're going to start off with a much weaker low pressure system on Friday and Saturday. That's going to bring that cold air in, those showers through Friday and Saturday, and that's also where the bulk of the rainfall is expected to occur for the northeast of New South Wales, with falls between 80 to 200 millimetres possible Friday, Saturday and Sunday, and into the higher elevations that will then turn to snowfall. And then we're going to see this system morph into a much broader low pressure system further offshore, and then that will tighten itself up on Sunday and Monday, approach the New South Wales coastline, and then but then at the last minute get swept away from the coastline from New South Wales and Queensland and get pushed out into the Tasman Sea, off towards Norfolk Island, then eventually off towards New Zealand. That is a very, very confusing thing to listen to, and I think the best way that I can kind of show you what I'm expecting right now is just playing the forecast model through for you. You can see it morphing through Saturday and Sunday into that broader system, and then moving well offshore through Sunday, Monday, and then into Tuesday. It is a bit of a difficult forecast, and again, I'm scratching my head as a weather forecaster here, just trying to see what impacts are expected for locations, but we can really hammer home some healthy rainfall accumulations Friday, Saturday, and Sunday for the northeast coast of New South Wales, and even down into the southeast coast of New New South Wales as well. North of Narooma up to Wollongong, we'll be looking at falls around that 100mm mark, and then again between Newcastle, Gosford, Taree, Kempsey, and then up towards Coffs Harbour, falls between 60 to 200mm are a possibility, with some good falls also expected further inland. These showers will be heavy and they'll be tending to rain bands at time, so good showers and good rainfall accumulations are possible a little bit further inland. I do believe, because of the nature of this rainfall here coming in from the southeast, we're going to see southeast Queensland get pretty much reasonably protected from this weather system. And at this point in time, I'm erring on the side of southeast Queensland is actually going to remain dry this weekend, with just a few spots of rainfall coming in here and there for exposed coastal locations, and maybe a shower or two for Brisbane Saturday and Sunday. But we're not looking at anything more than about 10mm on the forecast modelling here. And other major forecast models are also not suggesting anything in the way of significant rainfall whatsoever for southeast Queensland. For those in Brisbane and the Gold Coast, which have been saturated this year so far and still recovering from Cyclone Alfred rainfall wise, this is good news. There's no real rainfall on the forecast here between any of the major forecast modelling. So again, very good news indeed. And I think you can breathe a sigh of relief over in southeast Queensland. This forecast has been thrown around on Facebook and probably made out to be a lot worse than it is for southeast Queensland. But for those of you around Brisbane and the Gold Coast, you're looking dry for the most part. Can't really say the same as you get further north into Queensland. There will be some rainfall up there, and definitely can't say the same for the New South Wales coastline, including Sydney. But for soggy southeast Queensland, you are looking most likely to be dry this weekend. Now, I am just a little bit concerned because it does look like this system does get quite strong through Saturday night into Sunday morning. We have had that as a trend on the forecast modelling, but severe weather is definitely a possibility across the northeast coast of New South Wales on Sunday and into early Monday morning. But at this time, it is just a little bit too difficult to say exactly how bad it's going to be and whether or not we're going to be looking at a system that's going to rival an East Coast low or be an East Coast low itself. Highly unlikely at this point in time. It certainly will be a strong low pressure system. I just don't think it's going to make that cut for East Coast low definition. Interesting stuff, and certainly still a lot more to iron out on the forecast modelling. I should have a definitive answer on what we can expect impacts-wise, rainfall-wise, wind-wise, and East Coast low-wise by Thursday morning. That's when the detailed forecast update will come out in this system here, and we should be able to answer any questions on what we can expect impacts-wise through New South Wales and Queensland. So until then, don't panic, just watch the forecast closely and enjoy the warmer weather before it gets absolutely freezing this weekend, because yeah, it is going to be cold, especially Friday and Saturday, and also Sunday morning across New South Wales and southeast Queensland. We're not done with the weather forecast for Queensland. We do have a little bit of rainfall, as you can see on the rainfall radar here, moving through the western half of the state, but we do have some rainfall on the forecast as well. That's going to pipe up later on this week. So a few showers still expected throughout the remainder of today. That could develop into a weak rain band through tomorrow morning into early tomorrow afternoon, and a few showers expected around the Whitsundays, and then into the Cardwell Gap area tomorrow night into Thursday morning. Rainfall is then going to begin to develop from the west through Thursday, tending to a rain band at times through early Friday morning, and that's going to materialise across the central Queensland coastline, with isolated moderate falls expected north of Mackay through the Whitsundays, and then through Bowen, Airlie Beach, and then up towards Townsville. We're expecting some rainfall there, and then that rainfall will make it as far north as Cairns and inland through the Cassowary Coast and just into the southern parts of the Cape York Peninsula. This is seasonal rainfall for this time of the year. We do see moisture bands develop, and they can provide these sorts of rainfall accumulations at this time of the year, so it's not highly unusual. But 10 to 30mm of rainfall, it certainly is quite a lot for this time of the year, and it is just more rainfall that they don't really need up in far north Queensland. They just need a couple of months of dry weather, and they just haven't had that this dry season so far, and this rainfall is just going to be adding to their problems as we head into what is expected to be another wet start to a wet season at the very least, if it's not going to be a wet season itself. We're looking at this rainfall here clearing out through Friday afternoon into Friday evening, and then by Saturday morning, showers are pretty much dissipated throughout all of Queensland apart from the southeast and the south central regions. But yeah, like I said, 10 to 30mm is a possibility. The heaviest falls will be around the Cassowary Coast, where a potential 80mm is possible, and then falls around Townsville and Bowen should be somewhere between that kind of 25mm mark, further south down towards Mackay, closer to that 10mm mark. Nothing too crazy, nothing that's going to cause flooding, and nothing to be concerned about, but again, it is just rainfall that we don't really want and don't really need across this part of Queensland. Moving things over to the southwest, we've certainly got a lot in the weather world to keep us on our toes in the next week or so. Dry conditions expected, which means it's going to be cool, calm and collected across the southwest, minus the snow and the rainfall occurring across the south coast this morning before another big weather system comes through Saturday morning into Saturday afternoon. This one could drop 25mm. Details on it still a little bit murky at this point in time because forecast models are still quite different in what they're saying. But I'd say this is just going to be a classic winter system. It's going to blow its guts out through Friday night into Saturday morning, then rainfall coming through Saturday morning into Saturday afternoon. afternoon, a complete weekend washout, 25 to 30 millimeters of rainfall, and a couple of good showers coming through late Saturday night into Sunday morning from a shower band that's going to race up from the south. This just screams classic August winter weather to me. Plenty of rainfall to go around across the southwest. We could be looking at up to 40 or 50 millimeters on top of what has already fallen in what has been a very, very wet July across the southwest of WA, and it looks like that trend will continue into early August. More fronts coming through on the 6th and the 7th of August. It looks like more weather systems will be following in. Not too closely behind that, but another weather system coming through into the later parts of August. This one could be a little bit different to what we would normally see at this time of the year. But yeah, healthy rainfall accumulations this weekend across the southwest of Western Australia. You can see widespread accumulations above 50 millimeters across the southwest, and falls between 25 to 50 millimeters as well across what doesn't get 50 millimeters or more. Rainfall accumulations looking like it's going to be between 10 to 25 millimeters through the wheat belt region. Nothing too serious, nothing too crazy, but yeah, some good rainfall accumulations are most certainly possible out there as well. It's been very wet across southwest and Western Australia. It just seems to be a trend that Australia has been extremely wet, apart from the northwest and the northern parts of the nation over the last 12 months or so. Queensland hasn't caught a break. New South Wales hasn't really caught a break in the last couple of months either, and it looks like finally South Australia, Victoria and Tasmania are starting to pick up on rainfall. Obviously, I exclude them from what's been a very wet 12 months, because for South Australia, Victoria and Tasmania, they've all been extremely dry across a wide swathe of locations, and it's going to take many more strong winter systems to break the drought that they're currently experiencing. That is going to do it though for today's forecast update. I do hope you found it enjoyable or informative, and preferably both, and if you have, then please do consider leaving a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. The support lately has been much appreciated. Check out the Facebook page as well. There'll be a link in the top of the description. Posting plenty of updates there as well. Go check it out. Nearly on 20,000 followers, so thank you to everybody that's following that as well. Special shout out to the channel sponsors. The names are on screen right now, and again, I could not run the show without them. Their support is much appreciated, but that is going to be all for me today. Have a great Tuesday, and I'll catch you on the next storm. Goodbye.